Welcome to episode 76 of the XrmToolCast. In this episode, Scott and I speak with Jonas. Jonas is back once again, this time to talk about, we talked a little bit last week where he actually used early binding for the first time. So not only did he use it, not only did it work, but he only gave me like 8 or 9 things that I need to change to make it better. So great episode. Really cool to see where Jonas is at now and what he's working with. And a lot of really good ideas for the EarlyBound generator from Jonas as well. So really enjoy this episode. I know you will too. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the XrmToolCast. With me, your host, Daryl, always raising the bar, and Scott, I missed the white t-shirt memo. Daryl, Scott, how's it going?
Very good, Daryl. Yes, I didn't get that memo. Goodness me, I hadn't noticed actually. Yeah. Do you want me to go and change now? I could just pop out.
Maybe you should. I don't know. Actually, the shirt that I'm wearing now, I actually got when I was with you. So I was
really
standing
wow
right next to you. Yeah, it's one of the free shirts I got from the.
Hey, I got
convention.
one of those too, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could equally go and get that, but let's not do that.
I think we're good, especially for a podcast that just happens.
Yeah, a podcast. Yeah, exactly. I think we should probably have like some audio descriptions to say Daryl and Jonas are both wearing white t-shirts. Scott is not.
Actually, mine is only white. I mean,
yes,
you have
this is
something
only white.
on it. Mine is only white.
I'm trying to hide behind the screen, the camera angle, just enough so that
We
way
don't want to see
it
it
looks like
any
Jonas and I
lower.
are wearing the same.
Oh, that's what you're doing. I thought you were just slouching,
I'm standing up.
easy rider.
Standing.
Are you really? Are you though? Are you really standing up? Oh, okay. Well, Jonas has already spoken, so I think we need to rejoice in the fact that the Jonas is here with us in the building as such.
Yes. Hello.
Another
to
day
have
with
you
Jonas on the cast.
Yes.
And
Just stop playing with your chair or your desk, Daryl. That's
my desk.
So audio
You were
description.
calling into
Daryl-
question my standingness, and I'm showing you yes, I am indeed standing.
It was like that joke, when somebody pretends to go down a
Yeah,
stairs,
the stairs.
or walks down, and just like that. Yes, exactly. We need audio descriptions again for the podcast, man. Daryl makes a fool of himself. We just leave it at that. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. We could probably keep that on loop every episode, at least once or twice. So I love that the whole purpose of this episode is really to dive into what I thought would never happen. And we talked about it a little bit last episode. And so and I thought we'd hear exactly the details of this. But apparently, the only, late-bound Jonas Rapp actually did his first early-bound plugin, and quote-unquote, it worked, I think is what it came from Twitter. So
I don't know why it works. I have no idea.
Kind of a mystery, huh? Kind of a mystery.
No.
So what is this? What happened? What the heck?
Hi, and since you don't know it, hi, great to be back.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah,
Jonas,
I mean,
and
I was about to say. We need to
thank
come
you.
on. Let's
Oh,
just.
thank you. I'm
Jonas,
welcome.
you're welcome. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, it's so good to see you. And how have you been?
Awesome.
Let everyone how you say how have you been? How's things
I
going?
work. It's awesome. No, I don't. That doesn't sound too good, but I mean, it's good. As good as it can be, and it's getting a bit better. So it's working better up here. It is still not working in body, the bad body. So, well, anyway, it's good enough.
That's really good.
So
to hear.
you said
That's good
early
news.
bound.
Enough with the pleasantries. That's
with the
all
pleasantries.
you're going to get, everyone.
Yeah, I think you can fool an hour anyway without just chit chatting. So, what happened? You said.
Yes.
And actually,
what happened?
when you called me to this recording, you wrote something about Benedict.
Yeah,
I
Benedict
thought,
Jonas.
Is my colleague? Will he be here also?
Yes.
I'm the guest. He shouldn't be here. And they're like, no, it's not him. And then I got linked to someone who was like, Benedict Arnold. And I thought like Schwarzenegger. What's his name? Arnold
Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger, yes.
So he is there. Oh, what's it? What does that have to do with Benedict?
Oh, thanks for being my friend, Jonas. After I do these things to you.
So it's like ages, or it's I think it's the older things that are happening in US, because you only have US for like a few hundred years. So, well, he was US, and then he became UK, and I'm like the same guy. I have Benedict as a colleague, and he makes me, or maybe he's the one, because I mean he is now in Sweden, but it was German. Well, there's a lot that are like getting together. But yeah, I had to try to use EarlyBound when I developed the newest time I developed a plugin. So they have like, after 15 months when I've been gone, see, we had this new template for our projects. It's like, why is it having EarlyBound in the plugins? Well, I wasn't there, so of course he got it in there. So,
well, the cat's away. Okay. Well, the cat's away. The mice will play.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I cannot just go in after 15 months and I should own the place. But now I go in and say, okay, you're giving me this. I will work with this. Yes, it's very good. And then I try. But it was actually good. But I was creating a very simple plugin. It should just do a throw an error, or go on and doesn't do anything. Just to check if they have a license in their product. So it doesn't do anything to the date and so on, but just read, is the license valid? Then we're okay. Otherwise, throw an exception. Which means it does nothing at all with an entity, with any attributes, or doesn't do anything, which is that's the one you want, the EarlyBounds. Well, okay. Why do we use it anyway? Well, it's actually to check the license. It's calling a custom API and doing that from an EarlyBound. That was really good. I was surprised how easily you can do it. Because then you can just call with only one line to call the custom API, and you also get the response with the types properly. That was really good. And I mean, there was a text with the error message, and there was a just bool saying, yeah, you're okay or not okay, and there was like a daytime and so on. So it was really good to use it in that case, even though we didn't use like the normal thing that uses entities and attributes and so on. But that was actually good for you, or maybe for Microsoft, or whoever actually create these EarlyBounds. But that was good to see. So yeah, that's my first.
So it wasn't even an entity. It was just the API, custom API, early binding that you use. So you haven't even done your first like organization service requests where you're getting converting to.
We didn't really care about which entity and what they tried to change. If anything happens, check that the license is okay. So yeah, it was really nice to try and to get that and see how it works as well.
Well, it's kind of the same. It's the same sort of principle. You know, if you're calling a custom API, or you're calling the organization service passing in an entity with strongly typed attributes, you know, it's giving the same benefit. Is that you don't have to worry about, you know, knowing the names, getting the names correct or the types correct at design time, and you know, you can also easily usable IntelliSense and all of that kind of stuff. So the types of the benefits that you've just described, calling a custom API, having all of that IntelliSense and the strong types, is the same benefits that you get when you're using the EarlyBound. So I think, Daryl, if you were to try and describe to somebody, why use EarlyBound, those are the reasons you give. Is there any other reasons?
So what were the reasons exactly you gave in the bulleted list? Because you kind of went on in there. So your first reason was for compile time checking, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, type checking, discoverability, IntelliSense, making sure that, you don't have to worry, stops typos, if you're going to use strings. Is there anything else?
It's a little bit less code to write, I would say, because you don't have to cast it to the type that you want every time. It's already casted for you. And then rather than calling that get attribute value to handle null checking, it makes it a little bit nicer for that as well. So yeah, those are things. And then as well as you can apply an interface to your entities and apply the same logic across all entities of that interface if you'd like as well. So if you want to have something that auto formats an address or a phone number or something, you can say, hey, this thing has this interface of this phone number field, and every other one you can implement the same interface and then apply the same logic across them all. So even though it's something you normally only would use for late bound, you could still use early bound for that. Now there's other instances where yes, there's no reason to try to convert it into early bound. You use late bound for that instance. But yeah, those types of scenarios are real nice to have. So
I just tried a few months ago. I had to sort of say I tried to use early bound. Because then I started creating like a small plugin to do like we talked about last time when we were talking about the XRM tokens that I talked about. And Scott, you had an idea, just create a general feature or a feature to set the name of the entities. Like when you have like a M2M entity, that we just want to get the name from the other entities that were related and so on. So you can use that, including these XRM tokens, which is, I don't know, that's a crazy name, but anyway, the things that I work with. And then I say, okay, let's do this early bound. And I realized, well, I have one entity, uno. That was everything, and the rest was sort of, you have no idea, because where this is configured is one entity, and you say then the entity name and the attribute name and sort of how to produce the value also. So, well, it wasn't using anything, so I was like, to get this one entity. And also you have to know how to get the early-bound files out of your tool. And you can just, if you click, just go, then you get like 2 gazillions of files and the metadata. So it took like, after trying for long, then I took it, okay, let's do this in 2 minutes instead and get a what do you call it, late bound constants instead. So I use that for these little few where you don't have to, as God said, you don't have to know what the exactly the attribute names and so on, because you get it from the constants.
But that's a really good example. And if anyone's listening and they've not listened to the episode where Jonas talks about his XRM tokens project, I highly recommend going and listening to it, because it's a project that allows you to sort of do sort of like a templated string creation. So you can say, here's my template, and then you can merge it with actual data to kind of get an instance of that with all the data merged in, and gives you ability to do formatting and things. So you might create like an email or something like that. So similar to that sort of thing. But it's a good example.
You're very kind. No one is using it. I am, maybe.
But I think it's a really good example of where late binding is necessary, because that's the very definition of late binding, is you don't know what somebody is going to put into their template, their XRM token, until it's actually used. So it's kind of interesting that you use that as an example, because it really would only give you very limited benefit using EarlyBound. Like you say, you've only got one entity, right?
But I mean, also, I wonder also, I mean, the years ago when I was talking about EarlyBound, you get always like 10 mega data, no, what do you call it?
Megabytes.
A big file. And like, how much does it add always? I mean, now I have created one with only one entity, then I see it's smaller, of course. But is that how it works, or does it add anything more to things behind the scene? What is happening when you're using the EarlyBounds that takes longer time and so on?
Yeah, there's I mean, it's just wrapping the late bound entity, so there's not a whole lot of extra time required to process. One of the biggest mistakes that say people do make is, I'll just generate everything, that way I don't have to regenerate it, and then you get a lot of stuff. And in the last 5 years, Microsoft has probably quadrupled the number of tables they have, I would say, maybe more. And so
yeah, I'm going to go there. I'll talk about that later.
If it was bad back in 2018, it's even worse now. So luckily then, we have a filtering, so we can filter the entities we want to, or the tables we want to create those classes for. And that's number one thing. Go through, create all your custom tables and add in context, maybe system user case, or if you're using case, like a few of the out of the box ones, and then just add the other ones in as you need it. So yeah. And the other issue probably is people not sharing their settings for generating the early bindings on the project, because I'm in this, and I need to add this, and so I add it, but I didn't share it, and then the next time someone generates it, they didn't add it or share it or get yours. So making sure that's under source control is always a big thing left too.
Should be like the plugin registration tool we have now in Xrm Toolbox, to sort of have added warning if you're triggering for update of all attributes. It should use warning and say, "Hey, you're stupid. Don't do that." you have to know how to click like no, yes, no to get that. If you do that, so you have
gun
to
looks like it's pointed at your foot. Are you sure you want it pointed there? Yeah, that's
exactly.
The one feature in that tool is the filter by hide managed plugins. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, why doesn't Microsoft do that out of the box? Like, because 95 times out of 100, you're looking at your plugins in a dev environment, and you're registering it or tweaking it or something, and then you're using managed solutions. What? Over your head? What? Over your head?
There's a microphone there, and I didn't want to hit that. But I want to do this. Why you being stupid?
All right.
I can do it with them right, but then it would doesn't do that for me.
Doesn't quite do it for you. Oh. I bet you're getting really good writing left-handed, though.
I'm very good at the left hand now.
Left-handed, I mean, yes, right, left-handed.
Yeah.
Yes.
The right one, it was good. Now it's dead. Not really dead, just almost.
My right hand was never good. So.
Yeah. But guess what? Because of now that I was using the EarlyBound and use this custom API, of course I have to implement in LaterBound my tool to also add some constants for the custom APIs as well. And then it's really easy to actually add in not only constants, but actually a small feature or a small method that you can call, because when you're using the custom APIs, you want to add into the different attributes the parameters and some different types and so on. And you want to get it back as well. I mean, so I can now also add the feature or the method to do this. Then that would be nice to get the late bound to be a bit smart as well, not only have constants. We'll see. But I actually get less time to work with my tools now because I'm actually working as well. I don't have all my time. It's actually I'm only working so very little, only 25%. I should be 2 days in a week at the work and be there 5 times or 5 hours every day. It's really hard to go home after only 5 hours, so you kind of get there like 7 or 8 hours before I go home. Then you can't just stop thinking about what you're working with. So it's actually you have to work too much. So well, it's a good idea that it works for more than 25%.
I think that's something that we should all aspire to. I think, being able to be efficient and deliver what we need to do in 25% of our time. Because then
So okay, so it's good. You should deliver 100%, but you're working 25%.
Yeah, exactly. Was it they say work smart, not hard? No, what's the phrase I'm thinking of? Work smarter, not harder.
Work smarter, not harder. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So you're clearly working smarter now, Jonas. This is the thing. You've got to this point where you can free yourself. But I have to ask. When you built your EarlyBound types, which tool did you use? Because obviously Daryl is Mr. EarlyBound type generator in the XRM toolbox. That calls the CRM SVC util under the covers. Which is funny. I think actually the CRM SVC util, is that the last bastion? Is that the last place that CRM is used in terms of our SDK? Because
besides the actual name itself.
Yeah, because anyway, it's there. But I've noticed that recently, in the least recent version, there is now options in the version that comes just out of NuGet for splitting. So you can do class splitting and enum generation, and also you can create constants for attributes and all those kind of stuff. So those are the sort of reasons that I would have used Daryl's tool to do in the first place. So it kind of feels as though the CRM SVC utils have kind of looked at what Daryl's been doing and gone, actually, that's a really good idea. Let's put that into the actual, the core product.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Is that what happened? Right.
Matt sent me a message like, hey, we want to use some of your stuff. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, if more people are using EarlyBound, go ahead, use it. I don't care. Yeah. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Whether they use exact code or what, I don't know, but they use the same ideas.
That would be cool if they use the exact code. So which did you use, Jonas? Did you use just straight SVC util, or did you use Daryl's?
Okay, this is kind of an easy question or kind of stupid. Is there another way to do it? To sort of write like 2 miles long sort of command window. You should add this to CVP servers on something, and then /this/this/this/this. No, of course not. Of course we use it, yes. So then I start to wonder there also. I guess this tool can be running sort of without an UI. So you can probably add it to the pipelines, or how is it using? Is it for pipelines only, or is it like a pre-build or something?
So there's an EarlyBound Generator API NuGet package that has 0 ties to the XRM toolbox. And so what you do is you use the EarlyBound Generator to generate your settings file. And then that settings file, you can then check that in and use the settings file to then, with the API, to go and make the calls to generate the command line to actually call the command line stuff with it. So that's actually how I implemented it for Sparkle, for Scott. Because I slid that in there, so you have an option to do it with Sparkle as well. Now, whether or not he keeps it up to date, I don't know. I haven't even kept it up to date with the CRM service util. I've been too busy. I need to utilize their out-of-the-box features now and their flags, rather than utilize my own stuff, or at least have an option to do that. So that's in my backlog things to do.
Right. So I guess the tool is not used with this no UI, but it's actually getting the generated files. I mean, it's
just the settings. So just the
The
settings. So that the API,
All right.
the XRM Toolbox version generates a settings file, and then when you say go, it takes that settings file and generates the command line arguments and runs the command line arguments.
Yeah.
So the API just goes, all right, give me the settings file, and I'll take the settings file, and I will generate the API, the command line arguments needed to call everything. So therefore, it has no dependency on the UI.
So guess we're moving on to the what I want.
It wouldn't be an episode with Jonas without it. What do I want and what's not working?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to say, how does it work like this? And
I was waiting for what's not working because I knew it was coming.
Here
I'll
comes the
start
laundry
with
list.
the easiest things. When you have dialogues, let
All right.
escape button, let it close.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Let the enter be yes, okay, and save and close.
What?
So
I got dialogues that I don't
things
do
like that
on?
is
Oh my
yes,
goodness.
really easy. And I like you changed the settings to have from where you have sort of created your own view or forms.
I had checkboxes everywhere, and it was.
And now it's like a
properties.
It's called project
Properties
grid.
box, I think, or properties
Yeah.
grid.
Yeah, that's good. It's very easy for you. But it's really hard to sort of to get a good seeing of the settings. It's a lot easier if you have take a dialogue and you have tabs with different areas and so on. And the first one is the global things, and then you have the entities and so on. That would be easier. I know it takes a lot of work to actually create the UI.
Okay, so
it's
right
better.
now, they're grouped by global and
Yes,
they're just not
and I
different
say
tabs. So you
it's
think
better
different
than
tabs,
nothing.
different
Yeah.
tab. Like so, take what I have now and create a different tab for each of those things, rather than having different sections in the properties box. This is kind of long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I'll just say that.
I'll take it to the powers that be and see if they want.
I think you just fixed the bug that Benedict told you about, where when you want to when you've created the EarlyBound and then you change something in the settings, maybe remove entities, and there's actually some checkbox to
There was a
remove
checkbox
it.
that was supposed to go through and delete
But
it.
it didn't do.
No, it didn't do it very well. So I fixed that. The other thing it needs to also do is it needs to handle removing the reference from the project file. I think it does it in a normal project file, but I don't think it does it in a source-only project file. So I need to make sure that that works there. So that is another to-do list of things that need to get done.
Another thing to make it easier to use it is
They keep coming. They keep coming out.
I can go and write it in and as issues for you as well. But I mean, there's a lot of entities, tables in the Dataverse now, and if you have like a normal installation, we have like sales and something like that. It's like over 1,000 tables. And you have to start scrolling.
So maybe filter by prefix.
So filter and the sorting. Well, there's the sorting, but filtering and searching for things would be a lot better. And what you really want, I mean, those are small. The great one is to show you select a solution and show me all entities that are included in solution. That's a great. I mean, that's what everyone will use every time, because now I need to create EarlyBound, and what I'm working with right now, this is a solution. You have the entities in the solution, so you select the solution, and then you see, it's these 4 entities, or there's these 155, and I would have to sort of check for 170, whatever. So just select the solution and say, yes, the solution.
Okay, so that's saying you just say the solution in the settings, and every time it goes to generate, it goes and pulls the solution and uses whatever entities are currently in that solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than pulling and getting them and checking them, it would be a live update each time.
Okay, I didn't say that, but that's an even better idea to make sure that you check
smarter than
the
I look.
solution, or you check these solutions if there are more.
Oh, now I have more
So, okay,
solutions.
these three
More
solutions,
solutions.
and then like this, and read it like that. That would be awesome.
Okay.
Do that. That's a number one.
Yeah, I really, really, really like that idea, because in a sense, if you think about what the most of the time you're doing is you are working within a solution, and you are you're building some code that's going to be running within that solution's context. So when we use wildcards and we use solution prefixes and all those kind of things, well, that's in a sense what we're doing, is we're just trying to narrow it down to the stuff in that solution.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're
like
not working, if you don't have all the entities you're working with in a solution, then you're doing wrong. You should have them always in the solution. But yeah, it would be some. Actually, I've just created an even better filter in the FetchXML builder, where you can actually select either all solutions, of course, and then you can select all unmanaged solutions, or you select one specific solution, and then it will take all the entities and also all the attributes as well. Because I mean, if I had account that entity, and I only work with a few attributes that we're working with, then you should have that in your solution as well. You should not just use it because it always comes there as well. So if you're working with it, if you write code about it, then you can just, show me everything that's actually in the solution as well. Huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I ever will filter the attributes on the table, the entities that get tabled. I don't know, that get generated. Maybe I don't know. It just seems like that's a line that I don't know if I want to draw.
Yeah.
Scott, what do you think?
Anyway,
I don't know.
Say yes.
You're both right. Good. All right.
I want to wonder as well. Can you filter it by? I mean, you can select an entity you want to include in the EarlyBound. Can you also say, but only these attributes, or do they? If you select an entity, everything comes. Because I mean, like account is of course an example. It's a good example because it has a gazillion attributes, and I'm working with 20 attributes, and then you always get these. It's big files, but it doesn't change anything for you. But it's a lot easier when it only contains those you're working with. But I guess that's not supported by the XrmToolCast. I scrolled something like that.
From now on, that's how I'm going to pronounce it.
That's Swedish.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I tell people. Yeah, it's a Swedish way of pronouncing it.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm continuing. Okay, or do you want to ask?
Oh, wait. I just want to hear from Daryl. So why are you reticent to not allow filtering of attributes?
Primarily, I just wonder, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, is it worth not having all those attributes in there for the time that's required to go through and filter the ones that you don't want, and then, or add it back in as you decide you need these extra 4 or extra 6 or whatever. I guess if I did do it, I probably would do it a not filter. Like, don't give me these, hide these. I wouldn't do a show these. I do a blacklist rather than a whitelist for that, because I would think as you add new attributes, you probably want those added automatically, and you wouldn't have to go through and configure that. But it's something I'd have to go through. I also have to store that all in the settings XML as well, to make sure that it's in there. And I mean, all right, that's a thought.
I'm going through the same thought process with Dataverse Gen, which is like the equivalent for TypeScript development. So it's EarlyBound generation for TypeScript side of things. And I'm kind of going through the same deliberation is that, but I have a blacklist for attribute prefixes, specifically to avoid kind of ISV attributes being included in. So if you've got like an ISV product installed and you know that you're not going to touch anything to do with that, you can kind of exclude that en masse just by saying don't include any attributes with this prefix, or relationships or anything like that, relationship attributes. So yeah, it's interesting.
I haven't been looking at this too deep, but are all attributes added? I mean, all attributes, like is logical, like things that are not, they're not in the database, but that's exposed to the SDK, because you can get like the if you have like an option set, you can get the name. If you have a lookup or a account from a contact, you can get the account name and so on. Are these all included in the EarlyBound?
You're talking about the formatted name, the display name? Is that what that is, basically?
There's kind of like virtual attributes, aren't there? They're sort of, when you do a fetch query, you can kind of get the virtual attribute, but they're not generated when you do an EarlyBound class generated.
I thought of doing that a little bit, because you have your attributes collection and then you have your formatted attributes collection.
Yeah.
That has the string representation of, which is exactly how they're using that to provide that feature, is to go through and, hey, it's in here, I'll give you the name of this thing because that's the display name for this thing, or here's the actual local time versus the UTC time for that. That's something you could put an EarlyBound wrapper around that as well, and potentially use that too. I've thought of that, but I haven't got around to it. Maybe that may be something to think about too. And I got a whole list of things. Thanks, Jonas. Now I got to take a vacation just so I could do half this stuff. Great.
You want one more?
I always want one more, I think.
You should have a stop button. When you start, start build it. And then, I mean, if it's big and you have a bad computer, whatever, it can take a long time. And then what's it? Nah, stop. You should have a stop button.
After you click the go button?
Sorry?
A stop button after you click the generate?
Yeah, you say start work, and it will pop up three
command lines, because it runs each one
and
separately.
of course, you can kill them. You can kill those. But if there's a way to just click stop, that would be nice.
You click the button. You click the button in the command line. That stops.
Yeah, but
this has been implemented.
Nice. That's not nice.
Okay.
This reminds me of Mark Carrington here. It was like going, because like we had Mark Carrington on, and he went away with all these features, and now Daryl's. I feel like he's kind of going shorter and shorter and shorter every time.
The problem is most of these things, if not all of these things, I like. That kind of makes sense. I kind of want to do that. The one I'm probably least a fan of is having a separate tab for the settings, because you can already collapse them by the settings. I guess maybe I can have them collapsed to begin with. So you have like actions, debug, entities, global, meta, and option sets, and you can expand those. But I don't know. I'm also dealing with a giant monitor. Maybe other people are on some virtual desktop, and it's at like 1080. It's a 800 by 600 resolution or something like that. But the other ones I like. I like the other ones, Jonas. I like them all. Some of them I hadn't even thought of doing before. Now I got to figure out someone has a solution picker control that I could utilize to pick a solution from within that. I'll have to figure that out.
It's good to sort of hear you thinking to yourself now.
Okay.
Your job is done here, Jonas.
Yes. This is your punishment for me not showing up for the first half an hour of the show because I got the wrong day, isn't it? I'm going to put all these ideas into your head, and you're going to want to do them.
I don't have time. Sorry.
No, those are. I really appreciate it. Those are great ideas.
use there are 3 like small debug checks where you can set it. Of course, I set true to all, and I want to see what it does. And I start looking at it, and it runs and it runs and it runs, and all the 4 black windows were just nothing in there. And the sort of in your log it says waiting. And I was like, hey, who is waiting for whom, and why, and what? So in the end, I just killed the 3 black windows. I said, I'm done. Okay, that's what you told me to close these, and since
so you want to know the mystery behind
empty.
the wait for? Yeah, you want to know the mystery behind that, huh? Okay, that's a good question. I've never talked about this before. So there are 3 settings under the debug group. One is read serialized metadata, and one is serialized metadata. And what I do for testing locally is I hate having to go out to the server and grab it and come back, and I want to be able to run tests locally. So I have a feature where I can say serialized metadata true, run the tool, and it will save the metadata locally to the desktop. And then if I change it to read serialized data as metadata as true, then it will read from that and it won't query that. So it's a little like debug switch, so I can update it or just read from it and not have to go and query the server each time.
So it's like, I mean, just do you use this when you are developing the tool?
I use it
or when you're really
and
using
if anybody ever says, hey, this is generating some weird way, I can request from them that serialized metadata, and then I can run it locally without having to have access to their machine. So that was the other reason that I made that public. It's smarter than I look. Okay.
So,
and then
it should be in some special sort of something in the menu or something. It's not part of the settings.
Well, so if you click on it, at the very bottom, it says for debugging only with a big exclamation point.
You
Use
always
to not
try that.
communicate to the server for the metadata, but to use the local metadata file instead. Should only be used for testing generate. I don't know. I could make it red if you click
too many words. I don't read that fast.
And then the serialized metadata is for debugging only, and the wait for attached debugger. For debugging only, waits until a debugger is attached to the CRM service util before processing the command. So that's when I use when I want to be able to trigger it from the tool and then debug into the actual my custom code logic. I got a little trigger that says, hey, if you set this to true, then it's going to sit there and wait for a debugger to be attached before it continues. And then it'll actually break right then too. So that way, whenever you're attached, boom, you've broken at the very root of the whole process, and you can step through or skip whatever you want. Because lots of times you click it and then you try to attach the debugger, and 10 seconds have gone by, and now you've missed the part that you wanted to debug. And so I had to put that in there for myself. So now you know what those are there for, and why you probably don't want to mess with any of them. You can, I mean, but
no, I will unclick though. Always unclick them.
That's funny. I love that you went out and tried those things.
Yeah, I'm clicking on everything. I mean, if it's possible,
there is definitely a moral in the story there. If you make options available and they are unchecked by default, people probably will go in and check them because they want all the features. I want everything. Give me everything. Check.
All the options. Yeah. Well.
Something else that I think you need. This is actually not, I have not written this, but I'm saying this. To find the default. How do I get back to a default settings?
Reset the default.
And if I want to see if it's this one, this line, is it default or is it changed? I mean, so which means it should be bold if it's not default. That's, I think it's very easy to create that for the, just do property that group for the class. Yeah, okay, you say the default, this default false. And then you can really see, oh, this is bold. I can see, oh, I have been doing things here. So
I've checked this, I checked that. That's a good idea. I've managing the defaults is really tricky with that, because as you upgrade the EarlyBound entity, I want to add more features, but I need to be able to say, well, what if you haven't updated in 6 months? How do I make sure that I've modified your settings so you don't have to redo your settings if I change something. So there's quite a bit of code that I have to go in there to handle that. But it would be pretty easy to go through and say reset. That'd be a super easy thing to do because I already do that basically. I reset it if I need to. So, yes, but then I'll have to look to see what sort of features are available for the. So there's a reset to default and then a bold setting if not default or if custom. There you go. Cool. All right, Jonas, this is the best. You got more? Cool.
Yeah, but this is not something you have to change or so. But it's a question to both of you. How do you use it? Do you create the early bounds? Do you create them all entities in the same file, or do you have one file for each table? How and why?
I do separate files per table because I think I'm used to it, and because when my machines weren't quite as fast as they were now, it really sucked up the performance for Visual Studio when I opened up the giant mega file. So I split them into that, and then I could also see changes in the Git a whole lot easier too. To say, oh, well, this table has had these 3 things added in the last 6 months, or this thing got removed, or whatever. So that's one that's still outstanding as a reason of why it's nice to be split out, that way. So
you respond the right thing. Good.
What's the wrong thing?
I'm exactly the same for both the same reasons. I mean, and the seeing the diffs is such a powerful, really powerful thing, because, you can then see, well, okay, someone's added in an attribute to this entity. Why have they added that in? Do I really even need that in this project? It's kind of like you can trap it before you get to the whole solution unpack as well. Because obviously when you do your solution unpack, you see that stuff is going. But when you do your generating your types, you also see things going on, and it's like, oh, wait, an option set's changed. What's going on there?
Yeah. I'm curious also. I mean, so this is going to take time for this session or this recording, but no, just one small question to it also. When you have the types, is of course you see, okay, this is a string, this is an int and so on. Does it also add the limits you have? If you say I have a number, it can be from 1 to 5. What if the code try to set it to 8? Will it just explode? Will it throw at any time, or it's just if it's an int, it's an int? I don't care. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it.
There's no enforcement of size in the EarlyBound properties at all. I know in the old days, WinForms, they had the ability to go through and you could decorate your property with min, max length, and it would add in some additional things to go through and do that, which I thought of doing every now and then, like especially for unit testing. It would be helpful to have that, to be able to say, hey, yo, you just overran your string attribute. It's set to 100 and you got 150 characters in here. You need to fix that. But I haven't ever thought of actually making that something that's definable in there. The closest thing I've ever done is adding the metadata for the option sets so that you can see the text values for that. So those are now attributes. So then you could use reflection to go and actually get the actual text values of those options. Those enums. So that's the only thing I've done that way.
I know, of course, it's not your problem. That's in the ErlyBound, and so they have not added the checking of the values of it. I mean, if it's an int and it works, that's okay. That's it.
Yep.
Because I think that should really make a lot more of the quality of the code. Yeah, if you're trying to set this to 8, then it should be a throw something for some reason.
At the runtime, then throw at runtime when you set the property, or would you think of just putting the metadata in there and then using some sort of like Roslyn analyzer to like show you at compile time? I don't even know if that's possible. That probably wouldn't work very well.
Either or. or both.
Either or. Something.
No.
These are great ideas. Jonas, you've been away far too long.
Yeah, I know.
You need to use my tools more often so I can have these great ideas.
Yeah, but it's really hard to be working with early when I know I'm late. I'm not only working with late bound, but I'm very late as well. So but I'm late early.
You're late coming to EarlyBound. That's what you're saying,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Late coming to EarlyBound.
Is that in the middle then?
Yes. You're middle bound.
It cancels
Middle
it.
bound.
It's okay. It cancels each other out, so you're fine.
He's
you know?
unbound. He's boundless. Boundless.
Yes.
Boundless Rapp. Oh, well, I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to learn your journey and seeing you being stretched in ways that you wouldn't have otherwise have been stretched, and coming up with some very great things that I needed to do that I can't argue with, unfortunately. Dang it, those are good ideas. I need to do them. So, anything else, Jonas? Are we missing anything else? I mean,
Well,
I don't
you
wanna...
can get the select solution and sort of to get the attributes or the entities from that. I can give you that.
Okay. All right.
I mean,
Yeah.
so
Take the code.
early, but no. Other than that, I think I'm done for today. I've actually been this morning. I was at the school where I were before I started working, so I've been made a long session there talking about me. Not like in England I did in October because the same thing, but now after 15 months instead of that was like 8 months when I was in England. So it's good to it will be good to say goodbye to you and then go sleep.
Well, good. Rest that brain of yours. Great.
I was actually
Great.
out on the patio this afternoon, and I was sleeping on the couch there for like 1.5 hours.
Wow.
We have like 22 degrees center, I say, not in
Centigrade.
US.
Yeah.
So it's like we have summer today, and tomorrow it will be like 8 degrees and raining, but we had summer today.
Good. Scott, anything else that we need to cover with Jonas before we turn him loose and let him go to sleep? Close his weary eyes.
No, I think I've really enjoyed hearing both Jonas and yourself, Daryl, talking, and then just hearing all of those really good points. And yeah, Daryl, you've obviously got a lot of work to catch up on now. Because you do realize that next time that Jonas comes on the show, he's going to want to report, and he's probably going to have a whole load more. So you're going to get into some more technical depth, that. So, but it's so pleasing to see how much you're getting involved with things, Jonas, and keep all of the updates coming on Twitter. And I'm so happy to hear that you're kind of getting back and stuck at work, and you're now going to be keeping them all on their toes. So Jonas is back. They can't slack off now. So yeah, really great to see you.
But I think I'm a bit too nice. I mean, we're not having a battle today. We're just EarlyBound is good in some ways.
Last time it was the battle.
Maybe okay.
He's it's kind of like more kids you have, like the more relaxed you have. Like the first kid's like, oh, he's playing in the sidewalk. Oh, I need to go save them. The second kid, oh, he's playing in the grass between the sidewalk and the street. Oh, it'll be fine. The third, he's playing in the street. Oh, he's good. He knows. Cars will stop for him. It's fine. You just
game on.
game on.
I was going to start this recording without. No, I deny. I'm not using EarlyBound. But
so we actually started this episode talking about Benedict Arnold. Scott, do you know who Benedict Arnold was, or do you know what that is, or anything?
Well,
about that?
I read the very informative Wikipedia article that you sent me, Daryl, and yeah, a bit of history that I didn't know about. So thank you for that.
It's synonymous for traitor in the United States. So if you're a Benedict Arnold, you're a traitor. So that was with the Jonas Benedict Rapp Arnold was what I was thinking of. But then Benedict is kind of the person that's causing some of these new templates to come through. I see a lot on the Discord programmers channel. By the way, if no one is if you're listening to this and you like the content on here, definitely check out the Discord channel. For the I don't even know what the name is.
Or like
Tweet
12
me,
years.
I'll tell you.
You like to play.
No, it's not. It's not a game. It's not a game channel.
Where are you?
Where am I?
Discord.
I didn't put it together. Talked to Ollie and Benedict. Benedict's an admin on it, and so forth. But yeah, the Power Platform level. Power Platform level. I can't read the text for it. What does it say? Power Platform. I don't know. It's a Discord channel.
So to summary, then Benedict Arnold has got a Discord channel. That's what we're saying.
No,
right?
No, Scott.
But I think
I'm not as thick as you dumb I am.
We obviously need to put a link to the Wikipedia about Benedict Arnold, because I'm sure other people probably want to know.
Yes,
but he defected to the different
to the British
side
during the Revolutionary War.
He liked Tottenham, and then it's like, nah, I think Arsenal is better. I mean, I like Arsenal instead.
Yes.
So we're gonna lose. I want to go to the winners. Oh, they lost anyway.
All right. Well, Scott, we are approaching the end of our time, so I'm going to have to end this with we're going to have to end this. So, Jonas, how can our listeners get a hold of you? Are you in any place new, or is it the same old, same old?
Everywhere. Okay, you can find me on Twitter at Rappen. I'm found Rappen like everywhere. And I'm called. I mean, you can see my website. It's just someone
cleaning person knocked it all off.
Oh, if you're only listening, well, jonasr.app. That's where you go.
Yes. Awesome. Well, Scott, that's how our listeners can get a hold of I want to say our Jonas, because I feel like he's our.
Yes, our Jonas. Yes,
our Jonas. Yours and mine, we're together. How can our listeners get a hold of us, Scott?
Well, Daryl, if you want to hear more about our Jonas, let us know at cast@xrmtoolbox.com, or you can get us on Twitter and social media at XrmToolCast.
Yep. And the next episode will be coming out, I think, are going to be war stories. So if you have any war stories, tweet those as well. We got a couple good ones. And so I think we got enough to fill in an episode. So, although the person that gave me the best stories refused to come on because he was kind of in the middle, I think, of some of the episodes and a little close to home. So, so we'll have to improvise. But anyway, it's good. Jonas, great seeing you. Thanks for staying up late, and keep on doing what you do, man.
See you.
Take care. See you, Scott.
See you soon.
This has been the XrmToolCast with Daryl and Scott Darrell. Produced by Lynn Zawin. If you have any questions or suggestions, please send them to cast@xrmtoolbox.com, tweet @XrmToolCast, or hit us up on our LinkedIn XrmToolCast page.